Alright, so today I want to speak about a topic which is spiritual warfare. We've been hearing this topic for quite some time now, especially in Christian communities, in New Age, or in our spiritual awakening communities. And we always have this mental image that the spiritual warfare, the conflict is something that is happening outside, about the angel, it's happening in the skies, in the realms of higher dimensions, something out there. But there is a perspective that you've never considered, I'm pretty sure, is that the spiritual warfare is not something to be described outside of yourself, but within your mind. You see, in this realm, we experience duality. We have this unique perspective from our conscious mind that is able to, tell from good or bad, generally from good and evil, the angel and the demons, or in many cartoons or in many movies that we may see. It could be what comes to my mind, as funny as it is a scene from the movie, I think it is called Cusco the Emperor, when you have Gronk being in a scene about turning the emperor and essentially killing him, but instead of killing him, he mistaken the recipes for the compound that he was supposed to give to the emperor, to Cusco, and he's arguing with his good self and his evil self. That's a good representation of what duality represents and the conflict that is occurring within each and every one of us. So if you are on the path and you come at some point where you feel like you want to step into this new life, this new version of you, the things that used to bring you joy or to distract you, or the way you used to live doesn't suit you anymore, you incidentally embark on a self-help or self-development or self-improvement journey. And you may notice that certain patterns that used to bring you joy or satisfaction before do not resonate with you anymore. As you keep pushing and striving to be that new version of yourself, so you want to start that business, or you want to change jobs, change careers, or you want to work on a project, whatever your passion is. And sometimes you have this other voice or other aspect of you, this negative voice that wants to keep you small, to keep you safe, not doing this project, or I will put it later, it can wait, or maybe I know I shouldn't be hanging out with certain type of friend that keeps a certain dynamic, but I will do it anyway because I deserve it, or whatever we end up telling ourselves. The thing is, this part of ourselves, this internal conflict is exactly what the Bible talks about. It is exactly what spiritual warfare is this inner conflict will transpire into your physical life on the outside world. And this is where people may feel or believe into the idea that they lose the power, or that they remain stuck, or something else, or some form of entity. They begin to construct all sorts of stories to justify that behavior, that some entity is doing control or is pulling energy over them that is preventing them from getting the breakthrough or achieving the goal that they set out in their lives. But truly is, you're setting this for yourself. You are never powerless. At any moment, every decision you take, it's a personal responsibility, whether it is conscious or unconscious. If you decide to drink a beer, for example, or to eat junk food while you are on a diet, and you said to yourself not to do that anymore because you want to lose weight or because you want to move away from alcohol, whatever once again you set out yourself to do, it is your full responsibility to accept that it comes with consequences. And that spiritual warfare that you may feel in, you have on one side that voice that tells you don't do it, and on the other side that voice that tells you do it. This is just only experiencing duality in this moment. Nobody is pushing you to do anything other than you making the decision. The thing that would allow you to regain power over it is to remain conscious, to observe the pattern. You see, humanity has developed this habit for survival purposes, this old paradigm that we are a very fearful species. Because I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say we are living in a tribe-like settings. We have the prominent masculine feature of the tribe that is here to protect physically from any threat and danger, such as animals, or any threat from other human beings that could be a threat to the group setting that we are protecting. And in that moment, when you see a certain reaction, your brain will trigger all sorts of behavior patterns and hormones to the body to induce stress, to let you know that there's a danger. If you encounter an animal, there's a danger. You need to protect yourself. That animal may attack you. This is coming from a survival state of being, because you might have seen, or someone in the tribe might have seen in the past that there was a tiger or a lion coming up and he attacked the group. So all lions and tigers are dangerous. So now we need to be wary of ourselves because we may die. That's the worst case scenario that the brain will draw in the conclusion. And this circuit in your brain will continue firing every time you're being exposed to a lion or a tiger. But the thing is, humanity has been evolving over time. That survival mechanism that served us for so long doesn't serve us anymore in the modern world, where we are much more safer than ever. There's also way more destruction than they used to in the past, but that's the topic for another video. But now we aren't as threatened as we used to be anymore. We have group settings, we have all sort of systems in society to help one another and to truly do good, to truly build good. I truly believe in that. So that type of pattern now is becoming a hindrance when you are trying to change yourself, because that same neural pattern that your brain used to fire over to keep you safe and conserve energy, when you are changing your routine to become somebody else, to step into a new identity, which life requires you to do, God requires you to do, when you step into a different state of being and becoming a new person, you need to make drastic changes to your lives. Let's say, for example, you want to build a business, or you, as I said, want to change your career. You need to take certain action. You need to do things differently and think even differently if you want to become that person. Obviously, if you are not that person in the present moment and you set out to make this change, it's not going to fall magically into your life. You need to still be taking action. Then the brain still reacts into that survival mechanism where, unfortunately, whatever new change in your life will treat it as a threat and will keep you stuck. So this is where you will have all the negative thoughts or the negative voices that may come again to keep you safe, because the brain feels threatened. But you can rewire your brain and you can overcome that behavior. And the easiest step that you can do in this moment is to bring awareness. Instead of attaching yourself to the thought that you think, to the reaction that you may express, or to the emotion that may surface in the body, because remember, your nervous system, the body, doesn't make any difference between what's real and what is only imagined within your head. So the best thing that you can do is to remain conscious at all time. Meditation is a great way, of course, to remain aware and conscious in that moment. But the true power is to maintain the same awareness that you have when you are in a deep meditative state, or in a meditative state in general, at any moment. Every action that you take, when you go out about your day, every task that you decide to work on, even when in this video, I make the effort to remain focused and to transmit truly the information that I feel like could be beneficial for you. So it's about really stepping into this power, because when you are present within yourself and in this moment, you can then have the necessary clarity to take the necessary action that you know you need to take to get where you want to, and not repeat the cycle. So why do people love to make stories and to build stories to justify their shortcomings? And when the world or people often point to this dissonance, or to the things that the people haven't been doing, we are really quick to hide ourselves behind our egos and to react and say, oh, I've done this, or this isn't, we make all sort of justification to justify our behavior and to feel good again, because this is how we've been learning, not only as a kid, and I believe also that the whole education system, the way it is built right now in society, our society is built right now, is reinforcing that type of behavior. Is we like to hide behind a mask instead of seeing through, perhaps, if that person is trying to bring light on things that we have been unconscious of, and to perhaps look deeper into it. There is a great practice that was being taught by the Buddha, is to run those thoughts through 3 basic filters. I'm gonna just focus on one for this video, but what you can do in this moment is to really, when you feel that your ego is attacked, try to notice, why do you feel threatened in this moment? Try to notice why you react the way you react. That's where you take a step back, you take a look at all that's happening. You just withdraw. You feel the emotion, but you do not let the emotion become you. And then you can look objectively at, is this person right in this moment? What is this person telling me in this moment? And then you can look inward towards yourself and take an honest look at all the things that you've been doing up until this point, or depending on the situation, of course, that is occurring in front of you. But you can take a more honest look about yourself and say, is this true? And take a moment to truly process on that question. Take a moment to take a moment to observe. What do you feel in this moment? Is it right? If it is right, come from a place of, if the person in front of you is sort of right, take it in a good way. Observe. and then you can make afterwards the necessary adjustment if you feel like you need to make them. But if the person is simply making a projection, you can simply reject. You can simply say, no, I think I've been doing all right for myself. I think that I've been doing a lot of things and I don't need to justify yourself or to justify myself in front of you anymore. So you can just let that person who you know has a biased observation of the reality that he or she might have observed, and you can simply move on. But the most important thing is you remain conscious enough to just not absorb all the sort of projection that the person has made onto you. Because what we unfortunately don't often realize is, in a lot of ways, we make all sort of projection, even ourselves onto others and others onto ourselves. So it is really important to remain conscious and to try to bring a detachment from the situation and just express things honestly without taking all the space and without projecting all of our negativities, and because it can really affect the person that you have in front of me into a negative sense, into a negative way. And then it's when you look and become fully detached and observe that behavior, you realize that it's a mess. The way we communicate, we have to say it. If you look at the political scene, for example, for me personally, when I see, for example, here in Canada, I try to observe and to get involved into politics, to understand truly how the laws works, how they pass new laws, etc. When you observe a session at the parliament, sometimes I feel like this isn't any different than what recess used to be in college or in high school. You have people trying to make a point, and then there is just an egoistic attack that passes through that discussion, and it just escalates from there. Everyone is just bouncing around, trying to keep it somewhat civil, but more often than not, I see that it doesn't stay that way. And the point or the problem that was brought up initially simply isn't taken into consideration anymore, or it just completely derailed, and then you need to have an authoritative figure to try to break the spiral, the negative spiral that has been created from this situation. And these are the people who are in charge of giving a sense of direction and even controlling the lives of millions of people. But the way you've been doing it, I believe, is wrong. We do not come from a space of authenticity or compassion enough to see the point and trying to steer the boat into the right direction for the benefits of everyone. So that was it for this video. As always, we are going through great times for transformation, where the collective is bringing everything that was unconscious to the surface. So it's a beautiful mess, to be honest, to observe. But remember, all that you see on the outside is simply a process that on the collective consciousness, on the level of the collective consciousness that was unconsciously bringing up to be dealt with, and many tools are coming up to the surface. So use your discernment. It is very important in this moment to remain grounded and centered and not absorb the negativities going on out there. I see you in the next video.